What's the worst birthday gift you ever got? When I was 17, my best friend Tyler and I were obsessed with this abandoned house at the end of Maple Street. It had been empty for 3 years after old Mr. Peterson died. The yard was completely overgrown, windows were boarded up, and the whole place just screamed haunted. We'd ride our bikes past it after school, daring each other to go inside. Tyler was always the braver one, so one Friday night in October, he convinced me to break in through the basement window. The house was exactly what you'd expect. Dusty furniture covered in sheets, family photos still hanging on the walls, and this weird smell like old flowers and mothballs. We were just exploring, taking pictures with our phones when we found Mr. Peterson's bedroom. Everything was still exactly how he left it. His reading glasses on the nightstand, prescription bottles lined up perfectly, even his slippers sitting by the bed like he just stepped out of them. That's when Tyler found the shoebox under the bed. Inside were dozens of letters tied with a blue ribbon. Love letters, actually. All addressed to someone named Margaret, but they were never mailed. The stamps were still stuck to the envelopes. Tyler started reading them out loud, making fun of the old-fashioned romantic language. But as I listened, I realized these weren't just any love letters. They were desperate, heartbroken letters from a man who'd been in love with the same woman for 40 years. Mr. Peterson had written to Margaret every month for decades, telling her about his life, his job at the hardware store, how he still thought about their high school dances. But he never sent a single one because Margaret had married his brother back in 1962. The letters got sadder as years went on. He wrote about watching her at family gatherings, how beautiful she looked at Christmas dinner, how he had to pretend to be happy when she had kids with his brother. The last letter was dated just 2 weeks before he died. It said he was finally ready to tell her the truth about how he felt, even after all these years, that he'd been too much of a coward his whole life but didn't want to die without her knowing. Tyler thought it was hilarious. He said we should post the letters online or show them to people at school, make them into memes or something, but something about reading those private thoughts made me feel sick to my stomach. This was a man's entire emotional life spread out on a stranger's bedroom floor. Tyler stuffed a handful of letters in his backpack, saying they'd be funny to read later. I told him to put them back, but he just laughed and said Mr. Peterson was dead anyway, so what did it matter? We heard a car door slam outside. Panic mode. We grabbed our stuff and bolted for the basement window. Tyler still had those letters. The next Monday at school, Tyler was showing the letters to everyone at lunch, reading the most personal parts out loud while people laughed. He'd change his voice to sound like an old man, making Mr. Peterson sound pathetic and creepy. I watched kids taking pictures of the letters with their phones. Someone was probably going to post them on social media. Mr. Peterson's deepest secrets were becoming a joke for a bunch of teenagers who didn't even know him. But here's the darkest part. I didn't stop it. I sat there watching my best friend humiliate a dead man's memory, and I did absolutely nothing. I told myself it wasn't my responsibility, that Tyler wouldn't listen to me anyway, that Mr. Peterson was gone, so it didn't really hurt anyone, but I knew it was wrong. I could feel it in my chest, this heavy guilt that made me want to throw up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those letters, about how Mr. Peterson spent 40 years loving someone in secret, never having the courage to say anything, and now his private pain was entertainment for kids who'd forgotten about it by next week. I found out later that one of the letters did end up online. Someone posted it to Instagram with the caption, "Found this creepy old dude's love letters, lol." It got shared around school for a few days before people moved on to the next thing. Margaret, who is now Margaret Collins after marrying Mr. Peterson's brother, probably never saw it. She was in her 70s and didn't use social media, but her grandchildren might have. Mr. Peterson's neighbors might have. People who actually knew him and cared about his memory. 3 weeks later, Tyler got bored with the letters and threw them away. Just tossed 40 years of someone's deepest feelings into a dumpster behind the school cafeteria like they were old homework assignments. I could have stopped him. I could have taken the letters back to the house. I could have told a teacher or Tyler's parents. I could have done a dozen different things. Instead, I chose to be a coward, just like Mr. Peterson had been his whole life. The difference is his cowardice only hurt himself. Mine helped destroy the last dignity of a lonely old man who died without ever telling the woman he loved how he felt. I still drive past that house sometimes. It got demolished 2 years ago and now there's a Subway there. But I think about those letters every time. 23 years later, and I still haven't forgiven myself for being too weak to do the right thing when it mattered.